It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the happy entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission is to inspire, our mission is to empower, and our mission is to provide you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Sherri Somers-Bell, who's in the building. What's up, Sherri? It's good to connect with you again. It's good to see you again. How are you doing?
Hey Shay, it's your girl, Sherri Somers-Bell, and I'm super excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. I understand that since the last time we met, and that was many years ago, but just in the last year, I understand you're now married. So there's a bell on the end of Summers. Did I hear that correctly? Did I hear that correctly?
Correct. Matter of fact, when you and I spoke, I was in Jamaica. We had did our show when I was in Jamaica. I had run back to my room to do your podcast, and I almost 2 years later, I went back to that same resort and got married there. So it was ironic. I'm just throwing that out
Well,
there.
then I must be good luck. I must be doing some good things here. Congratulations
Yeah.
to you. I'm super excited. That's so exciting. She's still on the honeymoon, ladies and gentlemen. The
Yes.
honeymoon don't stop. She said it's not going to stop. A
Nope.
question for you, because we're having a very serious revenue focused conversation today, and it's all about scaling your business. Take a moment, if you would, and just share what's one of the challenges that entrepreneurs have out there today of just even scaling their business. Why do you even exist, and why do you do what you do today?
Very good. So in this space that I'm in, and I think one of the challenges that entrepreneurs has in scaling their business is trying to focus on too many things. They're trying to be jack of all trades, and are they trying to sell so many different things? What transformed or changed my business to be able to make multiple six figures was when I really niched down on my area of expertise. But the reason I was able to do that, Shay, one of the great way I was able to do that, I figure out what brings me joy, right? And whatever brings me joy, something that I can do easy, operating what I call operating my easy. And I really honed in on that space and just took that and said, this is the industry, this is the area of expertise I'm going to stay in. And I'm going to go all the way in this area because it's easy. I operate in my easy. I know how to do it in my sleep. And because I niche down, which is for me, is inside that financial professional space where I help women build their credibility, community, and cash flow without sacrificing their time using my framework. When I honed in on that space, who my target market was, who I was going to serve, and operating my easy, the money and the game changed for me.
Well, you can't leave us hanging, and you can't talk about building a community and kind of leave us hanging because community is a lot of different things. These folks, some folks think community is making sure they have a podcast. Some folks think a community is a group of folks, and I don't want to sound salesy, but that they just sell to. They're like, oh, this want to be in their community so they can just sell me, sell me, sell me, sell me. Take a moment, if you would, and give us what is your definition of community that you just mentioned, so we're all on the same page. And why is it so important for entrepreneurs to build a community?
I love it. I wish everyone on the sound of my voice, if they're just starting out, this is the first step that you need to do when it comes to building your community. Number one, if you're just entering the space, your whole job is to surround yourself with people that needs the problem that you say you solve. Now, I know you've heard this before, but when you have a operating your easy mentality, like I said, like I just justified, when you realize what is that thing that you do so well that brings you joy that other people struggle with, right? What is that thing? For me, it was really, again, building that credibility, that community, and cash flow. It's easy for me to do that. So when I look at that, I say, well, who needs that? Who is that ideal client that needs that help? Who's that professional that needs, what industry need that? And what I did, I created a customized audience around that community. And I created that customized audience. And in my space, that's financial professionals, especially in the insurance space, that is looking to generate leads, but don't want to be door knocking or cold calling every day. And when I realized that that space for women who are looking to market and create a message in out there, but they're struggling with the time necessary to do that because there was no one really teaching them how to market that financial business. So I said, okay, I have a framework, I have a strategy that I can teach. So I create a community of people that has that problem, and I have the answer to solve that problem.
So can I ask a question since I'm on this side? Some might be thinking, okay, Shay, she's done this. This is what she does. You can hear the passion in your voice, building communities. They're like, Shay, can she give us one step or two steps or maybe three steps that the average person can do to start building a community? I know that's something that you do and you do it on the other side and you work with folks to make sure they do that. But can you give us a little secret? Can you share like one, two, or three ideas or steps that someone can take to start that journey?
I love it because you already kind of said it. The first part, what people do is number one. There's three-step process. I call it my captivate, cultivate, and close process. So the first process, most people are doing that, but they just stuck at that phase one, which is that captivating our audience. Shay, you and I are doing that right now. We're captivating our audience, and we're stopping the stroll. They're like, oh, I got this information. I want to be able to tell them. Most of the time when I find people, they are posting on social media. They are showing up to the live events because building a community and creating what I call the omnipresence, where people see you everywhere they turn. I'm gonna give an example. I went to the bank the other day and the lady said to me, hey, I just got an email from you. And then I saw you on Instagram. And then after that, I've got a text message from you. And here you are in the bank, you know? And then she went on YouTube and then she saw me all in one day, right? And let's be
Wow.
clear, all systems. That was not me. I'm not all over the place like that. But when you create a launch or create what we call that omnipresence, it seems like you're everywhere without physically being everywhere. That's the first step. Is number one is find out what brings you joy. What is the thing that you know so well that people struggle with? Create a community around that, and that is creating what is the three different things that you can hone in and say, I'm going to show up at. Is it Facebook? You're going to go live every Tuesday. Is it I'm going to post two reels? Whatever it is, thing. Pick three things that you promise you can commit to and lead them to a community, whether it's a podcast, your email list, or a Facebook group. That's what I mean by that's the first step, creating that omnipresence of something you can commit to. Because as woman, as mom, our capacity is challenging sometimes. So when I say three or less, and move them into give them a space that they can hone in on to learn how to solve that problem, as we said in step one.
I love it. Solve that problem in step one. And you talked about building a community and you talked about being everywhere and all the places. And at the risk of sounding like a Debbie Downer, they're like, wait a minute, Shay, she just got married. Now Shay, she don't understand. I'm a busy person. I'm already taking care of my husband. I'm already taking care of my wife. I also am responsible for the kids. Shay, I'm also running a business. Oh, by the way, I'm a 9 to 5er, so I'm a 9 to 5 millionaire. I work a full-time job and I'm involved in my community and other organizations. And she's talking about being everywhere in all places and have a balance. Okay, say this sounds like an oxymoron. So take a moment, if you would, and talk about work-life balance. Does it really exist? That's number one. And what's your view of the world? Because somebody's sitting back like, that's a lot.
I love it. Let's be clear. When we talk work-life balance is out the door, but I love to use the word harmonizing balance, right? We're harmonizing, and with proper I tell my clients proper project planning, because that's the key. When you see me here or when you see me there, unless I'm on stage, I'm not physically there. Correct. So systems, and we rely more on systems and different project planning ahead of time. For example, right now we are currently in June, and but my team and what we're working on is the next quarter. So we're necessarily planning period is never what's going on in this quarter. Like for example, I have a Unleash Your Inner CEO boutique conference coming up in Orlando. That was planned in the first quarter, you know. So that was planned in the first quarter. So I really believe with proper execution, proper coaching and mentoring, and having a project planning in place, it will create what we call that omnipresent to be everywhere without being burned out.
And to do this, it takes certainly a team. And you talk about scaling your business. One of our 12 rules for life, we've got 12, but one of them is collaboration crushes competition.
Ooh, I love.
Collaboration crushes competition. My question to you is twofold. Number one, what do you look for in a collaborating partner? Because you're talking about scaling the business, building a community. It can't be all you. So what do you look for when you're looking at collaborating partnership? And number two, on the other side, what do you look to give in a collaboration partnership? Because one of the things I admire about you, and she does a lot, but you'll find that Sherri doesn't do it alone. And
Yeah.
she has this way of not only building rapport, but also finding the right collaboration partnerships.
Yeah, so let me just be clear. I really do less, and those less things compound. So for example, you can guarantee to see me every Monday live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time inside of my Facebook group where we talk more about this. So number one, that's you will definitely see me there. And I do that. So what as a mom, as a wife, as a newlywed, I was big on what is the blueprint of my business look like. So when we talk about collaboration, number one, I go to people who do the things that I don't do and don't know how to do, right? Or even if I do, how much time is that going to take? So what I look for in a partner, I look for people who exist that have their own expertise that I need help in, but I'm weak at, right? So where my weakness is their strength, and we work together to join that as one. And another thing I look for is vision thinkers. Like it's not just I bring the ideas of what God has downloaded to my ecosystem, and then when He downloaded it to my brain, I said, "Okay, team, here's what I want to do. How do we execute this? How do we make this happen?" So I never come like I know everything. I'm always open to ideas, and also when I collaborate with people who are further ahead than me, and then they welcome me in their space, and in return, they also get my community and my expertise as well.
They're taking a peek below and they're reading about in your bio. They're seeing that you're a bad to the bone sister. They get that. They see all of the accomplishments below. And they still want to know what's the backstory, Shay. Who is this person? What's the origin story? Who are we listening to? Number one, we want to hear it in her words. And number two, what was that defining moment that she decided, you know what? I'm all in the financial services side. I'm all in doing this. So two-part question. Who are you? Take a moment and give a little bit of the backstory. And then number two, what was that defining moment? You said, you know what? Helping accountants and helping financial planners, helping people in the financial services area really scale their business is who I am.
Yes. And Shay, who I am, it started off with your story, right? In my story as a former police officer, I was a corporal with the sheriff office for 10 years. And in my time with the sheriff office, I was side hustle. I was doing entrepreneurship in the property preservation real estate side. So I was getting coaching in real estate to learn how to lease option and different things like that and wholesale properties because I wanted to do that as a side hustle. But something I saw that I was passionate about inside our jail system, our inmates was keep coming back to jail. We had some issues with our recidivism rate, which means they keep coming in back. And what I realized that they keep coming back because they weren't able to pay their child support. And when you don't pay your child support, then guess what? They take your license. If they take your license, you can't get a job, so you can't pay your child support. So there's a domino broken effect. So what I quickly decided to do and gather my community, again, there go to community, I was able to help my community finalize a way to go into the jail, and I would teach them entrepreneurship that I was learning. So I was taking information that I was learning inside of real estate, and I was taking that information back to the jail, and I was teaching the inmates in my community program. So when they're released from jail, they can start their businesses. When was the last time you asked a person cutting your grass, do they have a background check? Right? They don't. So because of that, they became taxpayers. And when they became taxpayers, what changed or what transformed with that we were able to increase our tax, the taxpayers in our community. That got the attention of President Barack Obama, and I was invited to the White House in September 2012, and that really what changed my business. But even in that, I went through a divorce, and when I went through that divorce, that's when all hell break loose, because I was in this job and I realized how much my value, because until that project, I didn't realize how valuable I was. And then, but I wanted help. I really wanted time off so I can spend time with my son, because I went from a two-income household to a one-income household. But the people in my space, is as in my ranking officials, they didn't see that. They wanted me to stick with the schedule, and I could not stick with the schedule, not because I didn't want to, but I'm a single mom, had to pick up my son from school. And when I asked them for a time off, they refused to give it to me. But I went back to work because I didn't have a choice. And long story short, a week later, after asking for that time off and wasn't given that 30 minutes, I got a call from my school that my son was unresponsive and not breathing. And that day changed my entire life. So I walked, literally rushed into the school. I did 100 on the highway trying to get to school. But when I got to the school, I saw the paramedics working on my son. And I remember telling God, if you bring me my son Dylan back, I will never work for someone again. Never work for someone again. And what I started doing, I started taking the information I was learning in the real estate space, and I also used that moment to say, God, am I going to still be here? And I took an FMLA leave, and I never went back to work. But in the midst of never going back to work, Shay, I
Uh-huh.
was on a 430 credit score. My car was getting repossessed on the 15th. I moved into like a 600 to 800 square footage apartment. And so my whole world just came down. I went from a two income with a one income now into an apartment. And at that moment, all I did was grab an iPhone 6, and I just started going live, sharing my story of how I was in this financial situation, but I was using now what we call, I didn't know the name then, but it was called infinite banking, to get out of this debt, trying to liquidate some asset that I had from when I was with the sheriff office. And when I started sharing that story, I started, and I didn't know it was infinite banking at the time. So insurance companies and financial professionals started reaching out to me and said, "Wow, my team need to learn how to do this." And then people started calling me, and I got some money from that program, because people reaching out to me to coach them. And then I use that money, invest in a coach. Shout out to April Franks. And literally, I started going live with an iPhone 6 and building my own tribe. And here I am today.
Here you are today, out there making a huge difference in the world. Thanks for sharing your backstory, because folks are like, oh, she got it all together. Look at that. Playing this, playing that. She's now married again. Got a big smile on her face. Look at that. She came with a big smile on her face. She's here. So you out there watching. What does success look like for you these days, by the way? I'm just curious. You got so much going on. What does success even look like?
Well, first it's so funny because as you evolve, success change, right? Because my
Yeah.
success was, I just want to speak on stage, and then after last year alone, after hitting 27 stages, I was like, I'm tired. I'm like, I'm tired. That ain't gonna work. Not with a husband no more. That ain't gonna work. So success has changed, and then it was like, let me make six figures. Then that changed, and then I'm off to my seven figures now. So it's like, oh, so things just keep evolving. But so now success for me is being able to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, and the time you want to do it. So time and freedom is success for me. That's what I enjoy doing. Like I say, operating your easy. That's where I'm at right now. Operate in your
Ah. I love it. You've had so many mentors along this journey of life. And this is one of my favorite questions to ask, because I'm always like to learn from people others have learned from, right?
Mhm.
And the question of where I'm going is, I want you to pick any one of the mentors you've had on this journey of life, anyone, and share a lesson that you learned from them that you've been able to use in your own life. And now you're going to pass that lesson on to us. And you, the audience, as you're listening, you can lean in now a little bit, because here's the cool thing. Here's something that top of mind to her. And now she's passing her mentor's words of wisdom on to you. And we all, myself, can benefit. So the question, what's one of the lessons you learned from any one of the mentors that's made a difference for you, and why?
You know what? You're right. I had so many, but it wasn't a lot because I was trying to hone in on doing a few things and doing a lot of the same things, a few things. But one mentor really stand out to me, as I said before. I have to give April Franks a shout out because during that time, her words of wisdom and being able for me to stand in my authentic self. I'm Jamaican, I'm Chinese, I'm Jamaican and Chinese. I have an accent, and telling the story of my 430 credit score and hitting rock bottom and all this stuff that came from the courage that I see in her, and also being able. I remember her my first speaking engagement when she gave me her own platform and trust me to speak on her stage. So I believe in giving credit when credit is due. And for me, it wasn't even what she said, is how she showed up with her own transparency, and that allowed me comfortability to do the same. And I've been just showing up and not afraid of telling people about all my backstory and not being afraid and standing in my own power and my own anointing.
I like that. Thanks so much for being so transparent so far. I really, really appreciate it. And the other question I'd like to ask, and then I'm going to get on to a segment we have called "Today is my January 1st," by the way. But books. Now, I know people always say, Shay, you got to ask the question, what's one of the books they read? It's not about the book that you read. Honestly, it isn't. You got to take the Bible off the table and Think and Grow Rich, maybe. But I'm just curious, as your mind wanders back, and so many books I know you read as well, but is anyone that's top of mind to you that you say, wow, this is one of the ones that stands out for me, and here's why it made a difference for me, and it may make a difference for the audience, Shay?
Yes, the one I'm reading actually is TD Jakes' Disruptive Thinker. I'm
Ah, the
reading
new
that
one.
actually right
Yeah.
now. Yes, the new one. And because for a long time I believe that, Shay, that you have gifts and talents. And sometimes you don't know what those gifts and talents are, but people know it before you even know it. So you would sometimes dim your light because you don't want anyone to see your greatness because you're afraid of them feeling jealous or guilty or whatever it may be, that your imposter syndrome set in. So for years I was in a space that what man is gonna marry a high driven woman like myself, a high level thinker as myself? Am I ever going to find a husband who can deal with me traveling and leaving? I have a school in Jamaica that I take care of, and I have nonprofits, and I have my friend just passed away, and I have things of response for her kids, and it's just so much other stuff that's going on. And I'm like, and I didn't understand, where is this coming from? Yes, I'm Jamaican, and yes, I'm a go getter, but I didn't understand where all of this come from, and how do I navigate who I am. And that book really changed my life. He also even changed my husband and I life in knowing how to deal with me and dealing with me as the go-getter, and still him still standing his own masculinity. So I will say Disruptive Thinker is on top right now because it really helping me navigate for the woman that I am, from where I came from to standing in my power and being able to even be financially profitable to bless my community and bless my favorite entrepreneurship and philanthropy work and all that stuff. So I was concerned about I'm a disruptive thinker. So who going to do that? Who's going to navigate that process with me? And thank God he got me a husband that found me who's okay, who was okay with it. So I highly recommend Disruptive Thinking by TD
So
Jakes.
well said. So well said. Thanks for sharing that, by the way. We have a segment here called "Today is my January 1st." And you can go ahead and say that for those folks that are out there that tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the show. This is the moment you get to say, "Today is my January 1st." And for those folks that are hearing it for the very first time, like I know the other folks are family, welcome to the family, by the way. "Today is my January 1st" is one of our mantras at the Happy Entrepreneur Show. And it's the thought, it's the belief that today is my January 1st means we get a do over. Today is my January 1st means we get a restart. It means that our past, no matter what's happened, our past no longer equals our future, and that we don't have to wait till December 31st on the back of a napkin. I'll say it like that at 11:59 p.m. to get started. We can get started anytime. And so my question to Sherri is, when she hears those words, "Today is my January 1st," what does she hear? And what words of encouragement does she have for you, the listeners out there watching now?
So there's two part. One part really fast is today's my January 1st where I get to think bigger and double what I'm thinking. So if my goal was to make 350K, right? So I want to double that. I want to double that 700K that I need to make. That's number one. So now I know what my goal is. My second thing in my January 1st is being able, what is a mindset necessary for me to be able to be in to attract that revenue number in the January 1st. And I guess there's a third one. And bonus is now that I know what my goal is, because I know what or how to use the money when I get it. Number two, what is the mindset necessary for me to be in that space to execute on that level to attract that amount of money and into my life? And then the third thing is along with that mindset, what is my capacity available for me to be able to do that, and giving myself grace to make mistakes along the way as I go after my dreams.
I love that. Give yourself grace to make mistakes. What type of clients do you work with these days? That's number one, so the audience knows who you work with. Maybe what do you have coming up? Because you always have events coming up. And then lastly, how can folks best connect with you?
I love it. So I typically work with high achieving women who are in the financial or insurance space that are actually looking to what we just said, build their credibility, community, and cash flow using my Joyful Tribe Builder framework. The framework was designed to where you have your family in mind so they don't lose sight of their time with their family. Again, freedom. That's who I typically work with. I do have an event just for these individuals coming up July 15th in Sunshine, Orlando. Unleash,
Woo!
Unleash Your Inner CEO is where women in that space is looking to build their confidence and their abundance. So we'll show them the framework and teach them the framework that I use to build my community. Along with that, as I said, every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have a community of women insurance and financial space where I go live with a training every Monday at 7. And you can find that at joinsherri.com. That's 2 R's. Join Sherri, SHERRI.com.
I love it. You're amazing. You're incredible. Thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. I know you can always make more time. I mean, you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. So thanks for being on the show.
You're amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for watching. Thank you, the viewer. Thank you to the one that shows up, that shares this out. Without you, there is no show. So I want you to know that today is your January 1st, and you're awesome. I love telling you that. You're amazing because today is your January 1st. And just the fact you're here, if you're breathing, which you are, and there's air going in your lungs, what it means for you, in my opinion, is that your best is still yet to come. Isn't that nice? Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name it's Shay Brown, in case you forgot, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you from the bottom of my heart, we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. Remember this, time is long. Life, on the other hand, is very, very short. So you got to live in that moment and you got to make it count. God bless you. Wish you success. Thanks a lot, Sherri. You're amazing. Talk to you later. Peace, everybody. We out. Bye-bye.